to add value to you. And for today's topic, I think is quite a wonderful one. How to sustain a high performance in the new normal. I think we all need it. So without further ado, I would like to pass control to our moderator of today, Marie and Abby. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Miss Rita.
Welcome.
Okay, so now we have 15 participants.
I think we should start off, Marie. What do you say?
Okay.
And then
Yeah,
others
I
can
think
join
so.
in.
Yeah, and then they can just catch up.
Yeah.
So we can start. Okay, so since Miss Rita did the introduction already, so Abin, so we can introduce. So today, Abin, please introduce our topic for today. It's your baby.
I mean, nothing like that, but yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
thanks for this session and all the support to all the speakers, to Miss Rita Foster, and our participants for today, and most importantly, our speakers. So the topic for today that we have been discussing is how to sustain a high performance culture in the new normal. And few things that we want to keep discussing, or hear from our speakers today is how to nurture talent, retain productivity, and continue tracking performance. So we all understand that performance management is one of the key areas. um, the economy is down, but performance and productivity cannot stop, right? In order to catch up with whatever we have lost in 2020, I think it's important for us. It's important for all sectors, all organization, whatever level and whatever length and breadth, to sustain a high performance culture. So that's the overall topic for today. And Mary, back to you.
Okay, thank you, Avin. So to start with, so I would like to introduce to you, as you know already, my name is Marie. I've been member of Asia HRM Core Committee since 2018. So I'm an HR practitioner in Cambodia, but I'm originally from the Philippines. So to start with, I would like to introduce to you Mr. Chris Anthony, our guest speaker for this topic, and he will talk about people aspect, okay, of the talent performance management. Okay, so just to inform you, Mr. Chris has been into HR and training for 40 years. Correct me if I'm wrong. So he's a hospitality trainer, coach, recruiter, consultant, and currently at Ecology Global Pte Limited, and is currently in Singapore. So Mr. Chris also have been working in Cambodia and just recently moved back to Singapore.
Thank you. Thank you.
Amit, could you please introduce Mr. Siriram?
Yeah. Thanks, Mary, and welcome
Thank you,
once
Abin.
again, Mr. Chris.
Okay.
Mr. Sriram Iyer is our other speaker for the day, and thanks, Sriram. Welcome once more to our monthly sharing session. um, uh, Mr. Sriram is in his latest initiative. Sriram is the founder and CEO of hrtech.sg. He's by but I know Sriram for quite some time. He's actually a senior ex-colleague and very nice person to know of. He has almost 2 decades of experience in HR. He's anchored, a lot of initiatives spanning multiple geographies, different kind of technology segments, business units. He's in Singapore for almost a decade now, 8+ years, and he has been in multiple roles with Cognizant Technologies, with Singtel Group, and he was actually one of the most people friendly leaders that I remember, during our cognizant days. So with that, I'll hand it back to Mary, but welcoming both our speakers for the afternoon.
Thank you.
Thank you, Abhi.
Thank you, Avin. So thank you very much. Thank you, Mr. Sriram, for gracing us again for this topic. And also, I'll give the ball to Mr. Chris so to start with his presentation on people aspect of our topic for today.
Sure. Thank you. Thank you, Marie. Firstly, I must say congratulations to the team, to the very young team, AsiaHRM Asia, for your initiative, for inaugurating all these kind of sessions. Very encouraging. Congratulations to you. And I'm very, very happy to be part of your group today. And like what we mentioned at the last meeting, if time permits, if other opportunities permit, I'll be more than happy to be part of your group. The objective is to see how we can let the HR professionals grow even further from what it is now. So congratulations. Thank you for having me. I'm very delighted to be part of this group.
Thank you, Mr. Chris.
Sure. Thank you. And we are now talking this afternoon about performance management, the aspect, the people aspect of performance management. We have the process, the people, how HR can help in the development or in the improvement of performance management. We are in a turbulent time, as you know, now because of this COVID pandemic. This COVID-19 has caused a lot of workplace difficulties. Things have become topsy-turvy. Things have become so uncertain. The future and the environment, the entire future is actually affected. To narrow down to work employee performance is also, it is also coming under scrutiny now, how evaluations are done, performance evaluations are done. COVID-19 has certainly have got a negative impact on most companies, how to attract and retain employees. So I am intrigued by the happenings now. Having been back in Singapore about 3 weeks now, or about a month now, I spent quite a great deal of time in Cambodia over the last 3 years. My work had taken me to several countries, particularly like countries like in Southeast Asia. I've been to Brunei, Indonesia, Thailand, where I have seen the employees' work performance. And other than this, I've been to the Middle East countries, Dubai, Abu Dhabi, had the opportunity to work in Guam. Very, very significantly, it was observing how employees work, how the work performance is carried out, and how the management team evaluates or appraises the performance. So when I came back after my stint in Cambodia, I'm beginning to wet my feet in Singapore, so to speak, to see how Singapore, I'm basically a Singaporean, and I know the Singapore workforce and the strategies, the implementations that are happening in Singapore. My usual question I ask every management team I work with, do present day employees, the millennials and the Gen Z people, do they give credibility to performance management system? I'm very happy to work with a lot of HR professionals here among us. you people have got a sound knowledge, better knowledge than I do have, to understand how credible is performance management system. How do your employees, or how do in general employees view the performance management system? What kind of recognition do they give? And another question I have asked myself, does performance management really help to improve productivity and effectively reward employees, accordingly? So these are two key questions I probed and asked myself, to put forth to the HR professionals. How do you all view this? How do your staff or your employees view the credibility of your existing, if you have now existing system? And how does the productivity level, does it really is significantly improving, and your employees are rewarded adequately? So again, you know the answer. I cannot answer for you. Another thing is that in my readings, I found Gallup has conducted some survey, and the survey showed how employees view performance management. They say people who have got about 5 to 10 years of work experience, they feel performance management is not capable of identifying superior performance. Now, I was quite, again, surprised. People with 5 to 10 years working for an organization feel that it does not help improving superior performance or identifying superior performance. Now, not only in Singapore, but I think everywhere internationally, HR metrics, measurement of performance have become a little fuzzy now. The HR services have become fuzzy, very unclear with regard to people programs. And many organizations have begun to overlook performance management. And this is my personal opinion. Okay, you can always defer my thoughts. And the extent of performance appraisal carried out or being done now seem to be very superficial now at the moment. Maybe because of the situation we are in. I had a discussion with one of you, and I asked again, people who are working remotely from home, some work from at the office, and some do both at home as well as in the office. How does the management team or senior management team, how does the team evaluate their performance? Because actual work performance at home, or rather, sorry, in the office, is not measured adequately. So this is one question I had asked, and then the other aspect, the people aspect, is that the validity of the performance management are the people who conduct the evaluation, carry out the performance appraisals, evaluations with an objective, that is to identify talented employees and meet the goals and objectives of the organization. I also read there was an Adobe survey in the US. They carried out a survey over 1,000 workers, and they found that when evaluations are conducted, 18% of female staff at the end of the performance management or performance evaluations, 18% of female employees come out very dissatisfied, very stressful. Usually they come out crying. This is 18%. And 25% of the male employees also come out very distressed, very stressful. So what does that tell us? It says, it tells me that those people who carry out these evaluations, the people side of evaluations, are handled by people who are not trained. So I'm giving you the not the negative side, the flip side of performance management. So one point is that adequate training of management people to make sure that the employees are evaluated in a proper manner. The other point I like to make is that the top management, do they link people and profit? Is there a link? From what my understanding, my recent understanding also in Cambodia, I feel that top management pays lip service to performance management. They recognize people who are their favorites, but the other people may not may not be so. So there are a lot of elusive areas in HR that remain very tangled. Top management again does not see the people and the profit link. Top management only see they just lump. We know that appraisals are done once a year in many organizations at the end of the year. So they just lump whatever observations or feedback within that period and discuss the performance on the 12th month or at the 12th month, and then deduce the quality of their employees. So for me, performance appraisal, though it should be measured very transparently and accept employees who are above average, satisfied employees, they have their competencies in the business process, help the organizations to excel, to grow further. So point is, top management's interest in their managers or their department managers to translate their corporate goals, to see how it can link the people to the business profit, get the management talent, which is the key. So the aspect of people and identifying their competencies is not there. So I hope I have made it very clear on just to begin with on this. More to say on people, identifying these people. Like we always have identified people who are engaged with the company. Some of the employees are not engaged with the company. Some people are actively disengaged with the company. How do we identify them? What is the yardstick we use to measure them? Is there proper measurement? How are your rewards that are linked to their performance? The extrinsic reward and the intrinsic reward. How about work-life balance? How about recognition? Your compensation package, which is extrinsic. Your intrinsic will be, of course, your PDPs, your personal development plans, your leadership, identifying your leadership. So these the HR will have to drive this within the company, train the top management so that when they evaluate, it becomes meaningful. Now, I go to proper performance evaluation where the people who really sit with the managers, they want to have the feeling that they are being dealt by or dealt with qualified top managers, qualified people. We know how people will feel if they feel that they have not been evaluated correctly. How much of feedback, how qualified is the manager to give feedback or to receive feedback on the employee? If you give feedback, how clear and how helpful you are in terms of giving him his strengths and his weaknesses, may not be weaknesses, but maybe inadequacies. How qualified is he to receive his feedback, the concerns of the employee? So we are looking at personalized feedback on the performance of the employee. In my own experience, I've come across people who have not they view performance appraisal as a chore, and the employees are not evaluated correctly, and the end result of it is turnover, staff turnover. People resign because managers do not have faith in the performance, and the employees do not get assistance from the employer. So I go by like on an approach called where you define the work. We're looking at JDs, job specs, job whether you need to redesign their jobs, how they perform, how do you measure, how do you analyze, how do you expect them to improve and control their performance, which they call it the DMAIC model. Now, I felt that when the person gets evaluated, I felt that the people aspect, how many, at what percentage does the evaluation become successful? At the end, how people tend to, how they feel satisfied at the end of the session. One noted area that I feel is you can't keep biases out of appraisals. We are humans. It's difficult to keep biases out of the performance appraisal process, and this is human. People tend to be biased. Business leaders try to reduce the amount of biasness, but they get affected by the bias, the natural instinct to evaluate an employee. The right employee is evaluated wrongly, or the wrong employee is evaluated, correctly. So it defeats the performance management system. Now, while we talked about just now about feedback, how employees can give feedback and receive feedback, one element I feel should be included in the feedback is the capacity of the managers to understand emotions of the employee during the evaluation. How qualified are they emotionally? And here I'm going into EQ, the emotional part of the employee, where people, the employees tend to feel that where if they're upset, their manager understands, and if they need help, the managers are willing to help. It's kind of a how can I help you, rather than to look at the performance as a punitive measure. Most often, again, as my observations were, it becomes a performance appraisal system becomes a punitive measure. I'm not sure whether you'll agree with me, though there's a certain degree, a small degree of evaluation that leads to rewards. But very often, nitpicking is carried out during the performance management system. Because after the 11 months of working, or the 12th month, when they're doing the appraisal, they will accumulate whatever wrongdoings or weaknesses in performance, and these wrongdoings are highlighted during the performance management system. And I think that is not right. A little off emotional intelligence. When you're giving feedback, I noticed in the last company that I worked for, we carry out performance evaluations once in 12 months. My suggestion, my proposal is that the feedback must be done as frequent as possible. The communication between the employee and the management must be frequent as possible. My recommendation is always that it must be quarterly. You do your appraisals quarterly, but you have constant communication with your employees, very frequent, understand them, look at their social life and all that. So again, EQ, coming back to EQ, it creates how expressive you are to your employees, and the likelihood of when you become expressive and very easygoing during the evaluation, the tendency is the employee will look at the feelings of the appraiser, and they in their minds it becomes like a positive. Their scores are going to become positive because you have been very accommodative to them. Your way. So this, I think EQ is one aspect. The employee want their ratings to reflect at the end of the appraisal favorably, and they are satisfied that there is very fair system working within the company. So I feel that managers should be adequately trained in handling stress of their employees, the people aspect, in order for the system to be implemented successfully, and how people can give feedback on the performance of this employee, how you can help in their personal growth and development, thus having a very cordial environment in the organization with good interpersonal links. If you need to butt in and ask and stop me, please do that. I'm just giving you some salient points in performance appraisal. Now, if I can say, I can say quite safely that as top management within your organization and the organizations I had worked for, the leaders or the top management should give more emphasis to its employees' performance, how well they are evaluated, because the success of the organization depends very much on the quality of the people they have. And the quality is not at a stroke of a pen, with a tick in the box, everything is ticked, tick, 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 tick. And then that is the end of the evaluation. No, it's not. There's more to it. The human aspect is not to be missed at all. And I read again, I was sharing with Abin the other day, on an average, a manager spends 210 hours of his working time performing evaluations of his employees. 210 hours. So you see how detailed you have to sit. I know it will be a very tedious affair when you carry out, but again, how supportive are you with your employees? So
Thank you
this is,
very
I'm sorry, Marie, yeah?
Yes, thank you very much, Mr. Chris. As much as we would like to hear more about you, okay, about the people aspect on performance appraisal. So just on because as you know we are on time bound, so
Yeah.
I have to cut you a little bit and we'll come back to you later,
Yes.
right?
Sure.
So
Sure.
we could hear from Mr. Sriram
Sure.
about his additional knowledge on this aspect, on people aspect in nurturing the role of HR in nurturing talents and performance
All right.
management.
Sure. Sure. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chris.
Thank you. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Mary, and thank you, AsiaHRM team, for having me here. It's really good to catch up with you on a Saturday afternoon, and thanks for joining in. A couple of quick things, right? If you could turn on your video and if you could have a face-to-face conversation, that would really help. And if you could rename yourself on Zoom with the country from which you are coming in, that would be helpful in providing examples or better sharing. So that's a request from my end to all of you before I get started. Um, Abhi, if you could help project the presentation, that would be great.
Yep, you are on, Shriram.
Thank you very much. Okay, so before we start, right, the great thing is finally HR teams have now stopped asking as to when work would be back to normal. You know, they have started accepting the situation now. And as a result of which, we are seeing an unprecedented demand for digital HR adoption. HR teams are actually looking for newer systems to automate and digitalize their HR processes. Great news indeed. You know, for having said that, while companies are actually revamping their external sales and client facing activities to become more customer centric, more efficient, however, we are not seeing that much effort is actually being put in to revitalize their employee related aspects. So there's a lot of growth space for automating and digitalizing their HR function. So the next 10 minutes, I would probably run you through what are the emerging trends and tools in the post-COVID performance management era. Next slide, please. A quick overview. I have over 20 years of core HR practitioner experience, having been with companies like Cognizant Technology Solutions and then the Singtel Group in Singapore. I've been based in Singapore, as I've been mentioned, since Jan 2012. I'm currently the program lead for Institute of Human Resource Professionals, the Singapore nodal body for human resource professionals. I'm the task force lead. Um, by way of education, I recently graduated from NUS with my second MBA. It was really a tough decision, but I wanted to go back to school as part of my lifelong learning aspect and pick up my second MBA, which really made a difference. I am a Gallup Strengths coach and also a IHRP senior practitioner. Okay, so let's make it a little more interactive, right? Can you use the chat box right now? Open the chat box and say what word comes to your mind when we say performance management. Okay, the previous slide, Abhi.
Okay, so participants are encouraged to write
Yeah,
down your view of your performance
yeah. I
management.
just need one word or two words that come to your mind. Just put it out on the chat box and let's see what word comes to your mind when you say performance management. Fantastic. Obviously, pay increase and bonuses, right? Improving
Yeah.
performance. Good one, Minul. Yeah. Empathy. That's a real interesting one, Adlan, and we will talk about what you mean by that. So we have another 22 more responses to go. So can we have all of you send in your responses? Help employee grow their career. Okay. Productivity. Interesting. That's the focus right now, Hemanto. Productivity is definitely the key area for performance management. Performance versus pay. Okay. Monica says feedback and improvement. Okay. Personal development says pro. Very good. Okay. Motivation. Eddie. Great. Very nice to see we have people from Indonesia, Cambodia joining, and I haven't seen others update their status, but that's okay.
For
Okay.
constructive feedback, we are on the Facebook Live. We also have things like constructive feedback.
Perfect. Okay, constructive feedback. Great. Fantastic. Okay, so Avi, if you can move to the next slide, right? So I picked up this word cloud from word cloud on performance management, and it does cover a lot of what you did mention and a lot more, I would say. Our focus is to ensure that we try to cover what are the emerging trends that we are seeing in the last, I would say that in the last 9 months, ever since COVID really hit us. Collaboration and communication. Thanks, Vashita. Thank you very much. Now, essentially, if you look at it, right, if you move to the next slide, Abhi, right, let's rewind and look at what people were saying in 2019, not 2020, about performance management, the pre-COVID era, as it is going to be called. So employee performance reviews were already in desperately need of an update, as Chris was really emphasizing. According to Gallup, only 14% of the employees believe that the performance reviews they receive actually help them improve, which is very scary. 86% employees don't believe that their performance reviews really make a difference. According to Gartner, 81% of HR leaders were considering changes to performance reviews in 2019. And with COVID, that number has actually shot up to 87%. And finally, CIPD says that given well and at the right moment, if feedback can be provided, it is invaluable. But if given poorly, as Chris was emphasizing, right, if given poorly, the feedback can really be devastating. That's what CIPD says. So this is what people were saying prior to COVID. The entire performance management system had to be rehauled completely, right? Let's now look at the next slide where we will see what's happening now, right? The pandemic has actually accelerated the need for enterprises not to modify. Okay, this is the mistake where we have seen a lot of our clients come back and say we want to modify our performance management system. It's not modify, you have to revamp, because the way things are going to happen in the new normal, as Abin was earlier mentioning, will not be enough if we just modify our existing system. We have to revamp it. Prior to COVID, there were just a handful of global corporations which had taken some dramatic steps when it came to employee performance management process. For example, 7 years back in 2013 itself, Microsoft did away with rankings, your employment performance rankings. It attracted particular attention because Microsoft had long evangelized about the merits of its system that judged employees against each other. But in 2013, they took the big decision. But what the aspect of doing away with the annual performance review gained global attention actually in 2015, when Accenture, which then had about 338,000 employees, disbanded rankings and the once a year evaluation process. Because they were fed up with the forced rankings, time consuming paperwork, and the frustration that engendered among managers and employees. So in 2015 itself, over 6% of the Fortune 500 companies had gotten rid of rankings. But sadly to say, in Asia, we still are way behind. We are still doing this archaic once a year appraisal process, forced rankings, and as Chris was talking about, taking punitive decisions based on those forced rankings. But what we can tell for sure is COVID has become the accelerator for one of the greatest workplace transformations of our lifetime. Like, it's changed how we attract and hire talent. It's changed how we work, where we work, how is our work going to be measured, how do we communicate and manage teams, how do we price our jobs, how do we reward our employees. All of this have been changed forever, especially the fact how we engage, communicate, and manage performance of our employees. That's substantially changed. So don't just modify your existing system, completely revamp the system. As we are talking about right now, in every corner of the world, managers and HR teams are having a crash course in remote work and managing employees during remote work. And many are not passing the test. They're really failing. So we should not look at modification of existing practices, but focus on developing new processes, new practices that will improve the way we and our organizations go about doing our job. Next slide, Abhin. Okay, so what's the starting point, right? First starting point, the HR teams have to put this in. What are the key organizational objectives and how these will be measured? That's the first point. The second that comes is, how is the employee's job related to this, and how will his performance make a difference? That's the next step. Third, from an employee's perspective, how can he or she get inputs from everyone he works with to help improve each day to contribute better to the overall goals? So performance management has to start from the company level, have the organizational objectives clearly measured, then you have to find the relationship between the company objectives and the individual performance, and then bring it down to how the individual can do his work and how he can be measured. But I want to bring about some aspects that I recently read about, and I thought I will share this, right? Quick summary of what should a good feedback look like, what when managers should share with their employees. First, the feedback should be specific and goal referenced, not generic. It should be goal referenced. Second, transparent and tangible. Third, it should be actionable. When I say actionable, not from an organization perspective, based on the actionable response, the employee should be able to take specific actions. User friendly, right? It should not be mumbo jumbo which the employees don't understand. Feedback has to be timely. You cannot give a once a year feedback, and that is not meant to be timely. It has to be continuous feedback for it to be timely. As I mentioned, ongoing. It cannot be once a year or once a specific period. Feedback has to be consistent, accurate, trustworthy. And finally, it should be designed to assist and guide the employees, not punish and insult, which is what Chris had essentially emphasized. It is very important that when we do employee feedback, we focus on all of these. Next slide, Abhi. So I want to clearly talk about what are the key trends, right? We are seeing 6 key trends that are happening in the performance management space in 2020, post-COVID. First, companies are moving away from the annual form filling event to frequent performance conversations. This once in a moon form filling event is definitely getting replaced by frequent performance conversations or catch-ups, which are real-time conversations. So the questions are like, what is happening? What is going well? What needs to be better changed? What help is required by you? All real-time development conversations. And you know what? Gallup has actually emphasized that employees whose managers regularly communicate with them are more engaged than those whose managers rarely interact with them. So HR teams don't have to do any specific employee engagement activity. I repeat, HR teams don't have to do any specific employee engagement activity. If the managers are able to provide proactive feedback, continuously have conversations with their employees, that's the best engagement they could have. Second, performance management is no more closed door conversations. It is moving to remote tech-based discussions. Tech-powered continuous feedback allows companies, HR teams to iterate and improve on a daily and continuous basis. It allows the business to evolve to meet ever-changing needs. Things are not the same as it was 3 months back. So your goals are changing. If the company's goals are changing, then the employee goals have to continuously change. So if that has to be continuous, if you have 1,000 employees or 100,000 employees, if the employee goals have to continuously change, you have to leverage technology. Otherwise, things are not going to happen. The business on one side is changing its objectives and technology, but the employee goals do not change. That's a real pure play mechanism which will lead to failure. So leveraging tech has many benefits, customized goals tracking, 360 degrees feedback, instantaneous feedback and recognition. It enables HR and managers to take prompt action on performance data. It makes them agile in recrafting goals and KPIs to meet the current business needs. Also, not just that, right? The big data algorithms can spot patterns that humans might not. AI can help you take you to the next step and help employees quickly view the steps they need to improve. So all of these are really getting benefited with the tech adoption of in the performance management space. The third point, HR teams always focus on process. Now it's time to focus on objectives. HR leaders must identify and deliver the precise value that employees and businesses need from performance management. But you know what? HR leaders are always focused on, I need to spend less time on the performance management process. So how do I simplify it? No, that's not the right approach. Your focus should not be to simplify the performance management process. Your focus needs to be how to tech enable it, how to make the performance management process more useful and outcome driven and results oriented. That should be the focus. Number 4, lack of clarity to continuous and clear communication. The continuous communication, I mean continuous communication of the business needs, business performance, employee goals, action taken. All of this has to be constantly communicated to employees. It cannot be just an odd email from the HR team once a month or once in 3 months or once a year. This is a significant difference from earlier times when the employers were not even clear of the process. So HR teams must also be sure to communicate the rationale for customizing and sharing these goals. Fifth, manager to mentor. We are seeing that clearly happening. You need to give real-time feedback to employees and acting when the information is fresh. This is actually becoming more of a coach and becoming more of a mentor relationship than a manager-employee relationship. Finally, consumer to creator. What are we talking about here? HR teams need to transfer control of performance management development to employees. HR and management should ensure employees are the creators and not just the consumers of the performance redesign process. So by providing the employee with a structured guidance and necessary tools to individualize their performance management, since you cannot manage 1,000 employees, what do companies do? They kind of make performance management goals very generic to all of them. No, that's not the focus. What is happening right now is HR teams are providing broad performance guidelines, the necessary tools, and then the individuals are going to self-drive it, right? HR teams should actually help employees identify where their accountabilities intersect with others and help them construct a detailed plan at the start of the performance cycle, rather than designing everything and telling them this is what you need to do. So employees are no more the consumers. They will be the creators of their own performance redesign process. So these are 6 key prominent trends that we are seeing in a post-COVID scenario. I'll be the next slide. So I've provided a QR code in all the slides. So if you really want to have these slides, use the QR code and I could send across the slides to you. The most important thing, right? Performance drives engagement and not vice versa. HR teams are focused on engagement. Understand, when people perform well, they are going to be really engaged. They are going to be at their best. They don't need to be engaged. Okay, so rather than trying to focus on employee engagement, fix the performance management process and employees will automatically be engaged. It will help bring down your attrition and turnover. The next slide, Abhi. Yeah, so this is the 2020 Singapore HR Tech market map that we co-created at hrtech.sg. You can use the QR code to download this 2020 map. So over 160 HR tech providers across Singapore service the Singapore marketplace across all these technologies. And very specifically, if you look at talent engagement, we have mapped all the service providers. When I say service providers, the product providers who are in employee communication, employee engagement, performance management space. I'll be the next slide. Okay, quick snapshot. So hrtech.sg, we put together various infographics. These are some of the performance management solution providers in the marketplace. So the thing, what the greatest shift that we are seeing is no more HR teams organizations are using one tool for recruitment, engagement, performance management, payroll, operations. No, they're now getting into specific tools for specific aspects. So these are some of the performance management tech solutions that are available in Singapore. And obviously, since these are cloud-based providers, you can use them across locations. The next slide, Abhi. So I've given some snapshots, right? If you look at it, take for example, Synergita, goals management, OKRs, continuous performance, 360-degree feedback, employee engagement, employee development as a result of employee engagement. So you have, I'm sorry, Rahman, would you like to go on mute? Yeah. So if you look at it, Fitbots is a OKR specific provider. Yeah, thank you, Rahman. Like Fitbots, there are specific providers who are coming up with OKR specific solutions. There are solutions which only focus on employee engagement surveys, pulse feedback, which was earlier done once a year. Now companies are able to do daily pulse surveys, weekly pulse surveys, get feedback of what is happening. In Singapore, the focus now is on employee mental wellness. If you have to find out employee mental wellness proactively, you have to engage with them proactively. If you're trying to do reactive method, it's not going to help. So some of these engagement surveys which you can administer frequently, and you can pull out a lot of data based on this. So today the performance management, if people are working remotely, has to be outcome driven. It cannot be like if you're in office 9 to 6, that's the performance management. No, it's on outcome driven. If you're able to deliver this as part of your role, you're going to be measured on that. If you're able to clearly articulate what are the specific goals, what are the specific OKRs that the employees need to go after, that is what HR teams need to do, not just manage the paperwork process which they are currently doing. Next slide, Abhin. Yeah, so I just wanted to provide you a quick overview in this 15 minutes on what are the trends that we are seeing happening in the performance management space. There are a lot of tech solutions that are available which can help you fix the OKRs, identify the goals, gaps, and then help in talent development. All of this can be tech enabled. The HR teams really don't have to go about doing their day-to-day jobs when tech can actually do all of it. You just have to be the facilitator in providing the guidelines. So we are seeing enterprises that focus on HR tech are creating sustainable economic value and better workplace experience. So if you keep following us on LinkedIn and visit our website, we have a lot of infographics. We publish a lot of blogs, articles on latest in HR tech. Thank you once again for the opportunity, Rita, Marie, Foster, and Abhin. It was really nice interacting with all of you on a Saturday afternoon.
Thank you very much, Mr. Sriram. Okay, so just a recap. Okay, on Mr. Chris. Okay, thank you very much, Mr. Sriram and Mr. Chris. So yeah, it was a really nice hearing all your knowledge on the topic. So on people's aspect, we understand from Mr. Chris that having a trained person to do a performance management or performance evaluation is really an utmost important in delivering performance management or performance reviews. Otherwise, if a person who delivers the performance evaluation or performance management, then the result would be a disappointment on the part of the employees. As per Gallup studies and surveys, so 18% of female staff, as in reference of what Mr. Chris said, came out after the performance appraisal came out disappointed, and 25% of the male employees also feel the same way. So and also actually I just want to share with you, I had a lot of trainings on performance management and performance reviews and evaluations given by Mr. Chris. So just to let you know that Mr. Chris was my corporate director when I was working with Independence Hotel under Dara Group's hotels. So I learned a lot from Mr. Chris in terms of performance management.
Thank
So,
thank you.
and he's really like into people. So motivating, engaging people, employees to ensure that we give the best 100% of our efficiency to work, the best of our capabilities. So I'll give the floor to Avin to provide you a recap on Mr. Sriram's talk. Thank you
Yeah,
very much.
yeah. Thank you, Marie. Just to interrupt for 1 minute, I just want to share 2 points before I'll just take 1 minute. I want to say this group is so enlightening group, and thank you, Sriram, for a wonderful presentation. I like what you have mentioned about uh, the interactive process of HR. Very good, but at the same time, my driving home point is HR department has a person in the HR professional who is an advocate for the organization, and he or she is the advocate for the employees as well. Both of them simultaneously work towards the strong performance improvement or upskill or whatever you call it to encourage performance. So this person is so vital to the organization. So the HR, we all are together in this group. You all are the key people to drive strong performance, work performance in the organization. And the other point I want to just mention is the new approaches for having good performance or building the talent is create a culture within your organizations for frequent, like Sriram also mentioned, frequent feedback sessions. It's very good. Sync your work processes together with technology and the product. Upgrade, update, uh, what do you call, identify upskilling, have more leadership training programs. This will improve work performance. Thank you very much.
And also, I would like to quote Mr. Chris actually because he mentioned that also it involves performance management to be successful also must involve the top management. And I
Sure.
remember he mentioned
Yeah.
that top management interests on their line managers, right? So the
Yes.
top management should show interest on their line managers to translate their vision into mission in order for them to set the goals, right?
Yes.
So it
Yes.
would translate to profit and revenue for the company. So it
Yes.
goes both ways, and those practices are actually part of human resource management.
Yes.
So I just want to add on that one.
Thank you. Good.
Right. No, thanks, Marie, for summing it up. But primarily thanks, Chris and Sriram. I think wonderful insights.
Thank you.
And so I think key points that I picked up, and quite a few areas. I think it just overlapped, and it just reemphasized how important it is. And primarily, I think the emotional part of it, the part where communication has to be ongoing, continuous feedback. I think those are definitely the
Yes.
latest trends that we heard both from Chris and Sriram.
Yes.
And I think, the key thing that I picked up from Sriram's point was it doesn't help modifying practices any further. We have to, as HR function, we have to revamp our practices and come up with new practices which would maybe thrive for another, decade or so. But we don't know how fast things are changing, right? Again, I think thanks Sriram for those six main, six primary trends. So the annual form filling to frequent discussions, closed door conversations to tech-based discussions. I think it's a focus from process to objectives, lack of clarity to continuous communication and clear communication, and manager to mentor, and I think consumer to creator. I think the last one was really, really interesting, right? When you said, it's about providing guidelines and then employee and staff are no more just consumers. So very, very insightful. I think I saw two questions in the chat box. One was around, I'll open it up to both of you. I think one was how do HR shape the leadership for effective performance. I think we did hear quite a few areas where, again, the points that we covered in the summary. But that was one question, and the other was a little more technical, which says technical and contextual to the current situation or the current year, where we are seeing companies and organizations across geographies are saying no to performance bonuses and pay increases. But still, do we continue with performance management as an exercise? Because it's a process which is annual and has to have continuity. So these are the two questions that I picked up. So over to Chris and Sriram, whoever wants to take it. Thank you.
Go ahead, Chris.
Well, I can speak in terms of leadership development. Uh, this is some very, very essential as far as I know. Recent days, I have also conducted several leadership training programs while in Cambodia. I see a total lack. How we can approach is leadership. Firstly, HR is the person. HR is the person who is driving this professionalism within the organization, upgrading the qualities of the top people. Uh, well, in Singapore, you have a lot of initiatives by SG, help me please, LSG United or SG
Yeah,
uh,
I
programs.
think SG
Yeah,
Skills Future.
programs.
correct. And I think this must take place in organizations. People must be readily forget about. There is always this notion that when you train people, people will leave. You know, I'm a very strong. I strongly object to that kind of thought. But HR-driven initiatives like leadership, I'm very passionate about that. How organizations can identify A graders or A star graders, identify them, build their talent further, reward them adequately, identify and build programs for them internally or externally. This is something that is very close to my chest, my heart, and I think organizations can look at shaping leadership within the organizations. There are young talent, young budding professionals. Even with our HR Asia team, also there are a lot of people who can take on the next level of leadership, HR leadership, and that's one point that I can raise as far as leadership. Over to Sriram. You want to add to that, Sriram?
I think you pretty much summed it up, Chris. Just wanted to add to Rita's question, essentially, right? Uh, I think employee communication throughout the year continuous is the key, right?
Correct.
Employees do understand the current scenario, the issues
Correct.
that the employers are facing and the organizations are facing. But
Correct.
the fact that nothing is communicated to them and they are waiting in, they don't know if there is going to be a high promotion, they don't know anything about the future. That creates a lot of unsettlement. If you do
That,
constant communication, and there are some companies in Singapore which are really doing a phenomenal job,
yes.
continuous communication with employees, updating them about the right current situation,
Yes.
employees are a lot more open and accepting, right? and
Absolutely.
and
Absolutely.
I think continuous communication, clear communication of the situation in the organization is the key to
Correct.
the success.
Absolutely. Thank you.
So, Foster, can we take the photograph? Our convention of taking the photograph. Sriram has to leave in a few minutes. He has a hard stop. So, if we can take the photograph and then keep the floor open for networking.
We
Sure.
can keep. So we would like to invite everyone to open their camera for a photo.
For a group photo. Yeah.
Yes, please.
Wow, great to see so
Ah,
many beautiful faces here.
So please,
I
please
will.
open your camera so we could take a photo since Mr. Sriram, our guest speaker, has to leave. But we will keep the floor open for continuous networking and question and answer by Mr. Chris or any other.
I'm afraid
discussions.
I'm not using my laptop, Marie. I'm using my mobile phone.
But we can see you. It's
And
okay,
yeah,
Mr. Chris.
you can
Yeah,
you
we
can
can still see you.
yeah, okay.
Yeah.
You can take me from here. Possible?
Okay,
Yeah, yeah.
so I
Right.
need to take 2 photos because
Please.
we got so many people. So 1, 2, 3, smile. So one more, just a moment. 1, 2, 3, smile. Thank you very much.
Wonderful.
Thank you very much, Mr. Sriram. Okay, it will not be the last for Mr. Sriram. Okay, he will join us more. Right,
No,
Navin?
we really look forward to invite Sriram more often to share the emerging trends and wherever he feels we would benefit. We'll definitely like to keep the channels open. Thank you,
Sure.
Sriram. Thank you very much.
Thank you very
Thank
much,
you very
Abhi.
much.
Just one parting request to all the HR professionals is to adopt more technology as part of your lifestyle. Empathy is important, but empathy and economics, a business-centric approach, a strategic HR business partner approach, those are the key aspects of the new age HR professionals. So please adopt a lot more technology in your as part of your human resource work.
Thank you, Sriram.
Thank
Thank
you
you
very
very
much.
much.
Abhi, carry on. I'll definitely be online for the next few minutes.
Sure, sure.
Very much.
So we'll open the floor if anyone has any other points, thoughts, ideas, questions. Please go ahead. You can either
And
type it out or even raise your hand and ask the question.
also, we would like to ask everybody to kindly drop your email on the chat box so we can send you the presentation at one time. Okay, so we can share it to you.
Mr. Hermanto has raised up his hand.
Okay, I have one question. Talking about the human well-being, in one side, in the new normal setting, we know the company must recalculate the economic of scale. What do you think about this situation? Thank you.
Mr. Chris, would you like to answer the question from Mr. Hermanto?
He was breaking. I'm sorry, I didn't grab his question.
Mr. Hermanto, could you please repeat your question for Mr. Chris?
Okay, talking about the human well-being, in one side, in the new normal setting now, many companies recalculate the economic of scale of their operation. How do you think about this situation? Thank you.
Human well-being. Are we talking about? I'm a little unclear about.
So can I so can I just try and
Yeah, sure.
rephrase, Mr. Hermanto, please add in I'll try to so what I understand is on one part we are really worried about this remote working which is impacting the well-being, right? There's a lot of stress across all aspects when staff and employees and organizations move to this had to suddenly move to this remote working. But on the other hand, and that needs a lot of focus, investment, and continuous monitoring, right, of employee well-being. On the other hand, the organization as such has to economize their operations, the cut down costs to ensure that the baseline doesn't get impacted. So how do these two go together in the near future, or maybe short term for now, because these two sometimes can contradict each other, saying organizations have to invest a lot more in their staff, but they have to also maintain their profitability and the baseline.
Sure. And also I can add on to that.
Sure.
We're talking about human well-being. If I can narrow it down to
Right.
employee well-being in the
Right.
organizations where my industry that I'm very much exposed is the hospitality industry. Our emphasis is on always on the well-being, the safety of guests coming to the hotels. But a little we are a little negligent in the sense that employee safeties are not given full attention. The well-being of employees, uh, like what I didn't get his name. He said on the economy of scale, how much of emphasis is given to employees? I think organizations, HR as well as in total, organizations must look employees' welfare, the well-being equally, giving importance to their safety, their welfare equally. Because like now they say somewhere, this is the frontline staff must be the ones who should be taken care more than others. So this is my thought. I think my view is that the 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 well-being, generally human well-being, emphasis, employees' welfare must be given largely more attention. Thank you.
Okay,
No,
thank you.
thanks, Chris. I think very relevant because I think now it's not only about the organizations being profitable. I think
Yes.
they are taking initiatives, and we keep seeing the initiatives all across social media and the articles that organizations are going beyond their practices,
Mm,
even to the extent of providing the support. Even to say to set up offices because they know that remote work is here to stay.
mm,
And then we have the shared workspaces which are picking up speed, where near home workspace, because a lot of us do not really have a working environment that can be set up in all our homes, right? So
mm,
the near home workspaces, shared workspaces are coming up, so that we still have the ability to go and work for a few days out of those facilities, and we don't have to really go to office, travel further, because in a lot of countries people have to travel a lot, to reach offices, and that's a concern now, right? So
mm.
I think organizations are doing those extra steps in terms of employees, and sometimes I see they're also doing extra in terms of the family well-being. Right, the families are being taken care. So not only the employees. So I think they are really doing their bit.
Yeah, I just want to add up also on that one because currently now, as we all know, everyone's experiencing this pandemic in any uh,
Mm,
part of the world, right? So now we just learn how to turn this pandemic, this into opportunities, right? So now we
Yep.
learn to adapt ourselves on how to create an opportunity out of this dilemma that we are facing, the world is facing. Like for example, in terms of HR, in terms of workplace environment, now we adapt into work from home, right? We started to set up, and I think this will continue. Okay, this kind of remote based work. Okay, it happened before, but not into this massive extent, right? Where now everyone has to be in part of it, correct? So I think the good things that came out of this pandemic is we learned to turn this into opportunity in order for us to learn, right? To come out as stronger, and to learn more new things, more technologies, and we innovate ourselves as an HR professional.
mm. Right.
So I don't see any other questions, but I think that was really a great theme, very interactive, and I think while Sriram had to leave, thanks, Mr. Chris. I think thank you very much for your time, for all the time we had to also prepare for this. Right, we know we did spend some time before as well. So I think thanks for all your time and support. I think. And we definitely intend to stay in touch and again continue conversations around maybe either this area or any other area where we would definitely reach out to you. Thank you very much. Thanks to the committee members, Rita, Foster, Mary, for agreeing for the session, and really appreciate all your support. Thanks to
Yeah.
all the participants. You know,
Everyone.
the best is always saved for the last, right? So thanks
Yes,
to all the participants for spending your Saturday
your
afternoon with
Saturday
us.
with us.
Yeah.
And
I
not
would like
only
to,
that,
yeah,
okay,
sorry.
because we just want to invite everyone, okay? So December 26th, Asia HRM is going to have our first ever online Christmas party. So the theme of our party is Avatars of HR.
God.
So
Oh, great.
Miss Rita, could you please tell us more about this?
Wow, Marie, thanks very much for giving me this chance to promote our first ever EM party for AsiaHRM. Actually, I think it's the time for us to give a big thank you to all the support that all the AsiaHRM members has given to us. So on that occasion, on that wonderful event, we are having a lot of things in the pipeline. Say, for example, country presentation. We also have some games. We also have ice breaking activities and so on. And I think, and also we will count our blessings. So it will be a great event, and I'm sure that there will be a lot of sharing. From different AsiaHRM members of different countries. I'm sure it will be fun, and Marie will be the MC of that activity.
Ah,
I'm sure that we will have a wonderful MC for this session. So just join us. Actually, I'll be sending out. Actually, I already sent out the promotional details, but I will send it out again so that everybody can join us, so that we
yeah.
everybody will have fun, and then we will have another great time again. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank
Looking
you. So
forward.
we'll see you all there. We'll see you all on the year-end party. And also, I would like to ask Foster. So Foster is having a book club. So Foster, could you promote your book club?
Yeah, Foster.
Hello, everybody. AsiaHRM is also having, at the moment, free book clubs for you. One on Thursday evening, one on Friday evening, and one on Saturday morning. So if you are in our chat group, so you will see our promotion. We will do it. We'll promote it again so that more people could join. And we just launched our book club this week.
This week.
Fantastic. Alban, Rita were there. And then next time, our next gathering will be on the first week of January. In the upcoming 2 weeks, we will have a festival holiday break. See you on the beginning of January next year. Yeah.
And also for Cambodia Mastermind session, just want to inform you that also Asia HRM sponsoring Mastermind session every month. So for each regional country. So for Cambodia, Mastermind session will be held on January 2. So I would like to invite every HR professionals here who's from Cambodia. So please send me a message if you want to join our Cambodia Mastermind session. Okay, on January 2.
Yeah, we also have mastermind sessions for other countries.
Other countries.
We also have one for Asia wide. And if you're interested to join any one of these, just let us know. You can approach me or any one of our members here, and we will be in contact with you. Okay, thank you.
Thank you very
Thank
much,
you once
everyone.
again. Have a nice weekend.
Thank you. Have a
Enjoy the
nice
rest of the
weekend.
weekend. Thank you.
Thank
Thank you so
you.
much.
Thank
Yeah.
Thank
you.
you.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Merry
Weekend.
Christmas to all.
Bye-bye.
Merry
Bye.
Christmas to all.
Bye.